day over Nunez there. I'm okay with, obviously, I'm a Nunez hater, but defensively, he's just so much better. And to get him on a minor league deal as well, like, not literally no money. So it really helps out. Just, I think everything with the team brings a little leadership in there. And it does help with, how bad our farm system is prospect-wise for trade chips. It does help. Now we can load up and say we want to get somebody for the bullpen, which I don't think is the biggest deal, but another arm is always a good option. So we go out to the bullpen, get a bullpen guy. I'm still kind of hung up on Chris. I don't know if we've talked about this yet, but I think the Sox should try and go after Starlin Castro. And if they can move Nunez in that deal, they'll be able to keep him next year in his $10 million and get a guy that can play solid defense, nothing amazing, but he's not a liability there, and can bat 280 or 300 with a little pop.
I think getting Castro would be probably more of a better move for you guys, because I know his biggest thing has always been, I understand he has great bat-to-ball skills. I think he has over 1,500 hits, something like that, but he strikes out way too much. But maybe you put him into that Red Sox atmosphere, he kind of changes approach a little bit and have him swing at the first pitch rather than him taking, which he's done for a majority of the year with the Marlins. Maybe you might be able to have something there. I think that's a good point. The only problem is he still is under an affordable contract for another, I think, year and a half. So, again, the farm system comes up where do you have enough to give to the Marlins? Because they're just not going to give away a guy for, a box of cookies and a bag of balls. They want to at least get something back.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where it kind of comes in. The good thing is, Derek Jeter's been holding on to guys, but at the same time, he's also been giving people away. They'd be saving money, and Jeter's all about saving money at this point. If they took Nunez in part of a deal, they'd be saving themselves money with Nunez, who can slot right into that position and play. And one of the guys that will probably be traded is actually on the roster right now, which would be Blake Swihart. I like Blake Swihart. I think he could have a place in this team, but he doesn't right now. And if they're just going to keep him on the bench playing 50 games out of the entire year, and he's going to be playing 5 different positions, you could probably trade Nunez, Swihart in a lower piece and get Castro, and then they could move on from JT Realmuto and actually put Swihart behind the plate, and they'd have 2 immediate replacements there. Work with Swihart, who's under team control, in 3 or 4 years of arbitration after that, and they could move Realmuto at the deadline and get a big haul for him.
Here's one for you. I just did this one today, actually. Speaking of Swihart, the Rangers have really showed the most interest in him because they don't really have someone in their system that, is as attractive as Swihart. And they're in a position where they're going to kind of go through at least a mini rebuild. So they'll be able to kind of, walk the tightrope with him to let him, polish up a little bit his defensive, deficiencies or whatnot. But do you think maybe if they were willing to eat some money, the Rangers might be willing to trade Shin-Soo Choo?
Would they be willing to? I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't. I mean, they need a full-out rebuild in Texas. They don't need a mini one. But, I mean, Shin-Soo Choo is 35 years old. They don't need him at this point. He's under contract till 2020, so they'd have to eat a lot of money for multiple years.
They'd have to make him at least, a $15 million player for us, Pedroia money or so.
I personally wouldn't want that trade, though. I mean, what is he going to give us? He's having a good year this year, but, I mean, if you look back, he hasn't had a good year since 2013 when he was playing before he even got to Texas. So I don't want anything to do with a 35-year-old guy that before this, his highest average was a 276. He doesn't really have that much pop. He hasn't hit over 22 home runs ever in his career.
Yeah, he's hit exactly that in 2 out of the last 4 years. And actually, this year he'll probably
hit it this year.
Yeah, so that would make 3 out of the last 4 years a 20-80 guy. And Bradley would be the odd man out. And Choo, unfortunately, is a lefty, but you're replacing, at least you're not adding a lefty. You'd be kind of replacing a lefty with a lefty. And what I would do with him is I would basically rotate him and JD Martinez between DH and left field and just kind of keep flip-flopping them that way. And I think that would kind of preserve Chu where he's 35 and kind of protects your investment a little bit with Martinez. And I don't know, it was just an idea because there's not many power options out there at the moment. So, and
no, there's not.
Texas did have the most interest in Swihart. So
I'd rather get Hamels or something if we're going to go with that route. I mean, even numbers-wise, the last 3-4 years for Jackie, they've been around the same average. You know, Jackie 241, 267, 249 his last 3 years, not including this one. Home runs 17, 26, and 10. They're pretty similar. I don't think it'd be that big of an upgrade getting Chu, even if we kept Bradley as well. Say, like, we moved Swihart and whatever, and Bradley's out, like, you know, coming off the bench or whatever. I just don't think it's that big of an improvement with Chu. I think there's other players in Texas that we could get. I mean, Hamels, I think Hamels is a sure bet for New York, Chris, unless you guys go out and get DeGrom. But I think there's maybe some other players on Texas that we could kind of scoop up that could help out.
Yeah, why don't we actually get into the Yankees now, actually? And I guess we may as well just go ahead with the trade deadline. And I won't give you the scenario that Chris gave me as far as the Yankees getting DeGrom. What would likely happen before that? But what makes that deal so far-fetched, would you say, Chris? Because I have no idea, because I figured up until we had that conversation it was still, you know, somewhat in play.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is unless the Mets are going to trade, you know, change their offer with what happened with Sandy, because now the Mets have 3 GMs, not one, they have 3. They have Rico, they have Omar Minaya, and they have Ricciardi. And all 3 of them are going to be making decisions. And you can count how many trades the Mets and the Yankees have made on one hand. And if the Mets were to trade DeGrom or Noah, or both, although I can't see either happening, to the Yankees, they would not just have to get back premium talent, but then that talent would have to hit. And I don't think people understand the amount of backlash that the media would bring on top of them. So the chances of it happening, I just, to be honest with you, I really can't see. I think the Mets are that much of a dysfunction right now where because of what happened with Sandy, there's a better chance of maybe you might see some little moves like Cabrera will probably get flipped. Maybe you see a bullpen piece like Blevins or Familia, but I can't even see DeGrom being traded. And I mean, he's by far probably the best pitcher on the market right now if he was available. But at the same time, our team's going to be willing to give up their premier prospects to do it.
What about Cespedes? You think he might go?
Who?
Cespedes?
Cespedes.
You went to Cespedes?
Yeah, you think he might go?
He's a little banged up, I think, for the money he's owed.
Well, I'll put it to you this way. Since he signed his contract, he's played 46% of the games of a possible. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He can't stay healthy.
Right. Which, you know, would be intriguing if he was healthy, because, you know, I'd be interested in that. He had kind of a rough go-around that half season in 2014 in Fenway. I guess he was clashing with Arnie Baylor or whatever as far as, like, outfield drills, and didn't really want to discuss any, you know, extension talk. And
there's a reason why he's played for 9 teams. There's a reason why for that.
He's a bad clubhouse guy, it sounds like.
He's terrible.
There's rumors of him ripping cigs in, you know, the runways during games.
Yeah,
like
I've heard that. I mean,
and that's been multiple teams too. So it's interesting. I personally think he could get done out in New York. New York isn't. Well, the Mets are an absolute shambles. I mean, Sandy. For all the people that don't know, Sandy is the GM of the Mets. He just stepped down because his cancer has come back again, and he's just moving away from a GM role to deal with his health issues, which is totally understandable.
And he might have been fired as well. Like that was in play.
He's a good GM, and now they have 3, like Chris said, also still not good GMs. Their whole office is bad, but they might. I think they'll either go one of 2 ways with it, Chris. I think they'll either go with the way you said, which they won't trade anybody major, and they'll just wait it out until the offseason next year, or they're going to panic and go straight up full fire sale mode and try and get rid of their contracts and their players and just try and start over next year. So it goes either way. I think he can get done just because the Yankees have the prospects, and not every single one of them will pan out. For the Red Sox fans, Henry Owens was once untouchable. So there are guys that are untouchable that don't pan out. There's guys that get blocked via just position guys, like a Clint Frazier is pretty much blocked for you guys and will be gone at some point. So I think, and because of how good DeGrom is, he's going to be contending for the Cy Young this year on the Mets, which says something. And on top of that, his contract is great and in control. So if I was the Yankees, if I were you, I would do it. I wouldn't give up Torres, obviously, but I would give up, 2 or 3 prospects for him because, he can play on this team for the next 2 to 6 years if you guys want to sign him afterwards.
Well, the problem, though, with going after DeGrom or Noah, it's going to start with Torres, and then if they say no to that, then you might as well just hang up the phone. Because if you're going to give up a franchise talent in DeGrom or a potential talent in Noah, you have to get back a guy who can change your franchise. And Gleyber Torres is that one. The Yankees aren't going to flip him. So that means it's just not going to happen.
No.
And, to go to your question about, are the Mets going to do a full-on fire sale? I read a quote yesterday in the paper in the Daily News that one of the GMs, Rico, said that we haven't even discussed doing a full-on rebuild yet. So I think that says a lot that they haven't even discussed totally dismantling the team.
God, there's such a dumpster fire, that team.
It is. And then if you're going to end up trading some big-time guys, all 3 of the GMs are going to have to agree on one move or that said move, which then brings to the point of if you're the Mets, why would you why would you put 3 guys into that interim role and then say, all right, you know what, go out and go trade these guys or go try to rebuild the team when they might not even be there by the end of the season? Why not just hire one guy, trust that whoever that person is, and have him do it rather than have 3 people who might not even be there at the end of the season? Doesn't make sense. Classic Mets.
It's legitimately the Mets. This is what they do best.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm kind of learning this as we go because, it does sound like they do need their front office together, as you were kind of saying, before, they can adopt any type of philosophy. And I think DeGrom's market would be better in the offseason, really. I mean, because the Yankees are really the only team in a position to trade for him or have any incentive to do it right now, because everybody else.
Well, the Brewers are one. They need an ace.
True.
They do need an
ace, and they do have the prospects. I mean, I get that they gave up, Brinson and they gave up another kid, an outfielder, to go out and get, Yelich, but they still have one of the top 10 farm systems. And don't forget, they do have a surplus of outfielders. They have Domingo Santana. They have Brent Phillips. They have some pitchers down in the minor leagues that can easily be thrown in for a trade. So the Brewers need an ace, and every year is not a guarantee. And if not, to quote Theo Epstein, if not now, when? You go out and get Yelich, you sign Kane, go get your ace. You didn't do it last year, so pull the trigger, because look what happened. They blew a lead against the Cubs, and they were sitting at home in October.
Yep, I agree. He could go there. I mean, another team that's been linked to a lot of big name trades, Manny Machado being one of those, Arizona. Arizona could use another pitcher, and I believe they have the prospects as well to go get a DeGrom type.
He can't play short. He cannot play short, Machado. He's the negative 15 defensive runs saved. You got to keep him at third.
Oh yeah, no, definitely at third. I think that what I'm saying is I think they have the prospects to get a Machado or a DeGrom, and they could use a DeGrom behind Greinke, because Greinke, let's face it, October Greinke.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, he didn't come to Boston. I think one of the biggest reasons why his medical anxiety, depression is through the roof.
And yeah, he does have a problem, and it's not good. He actually left the Royals when he was a kid because of that.
Yes, he did, and then that was one of the big reasons why he didn't sign in a huge market. He signed in L.A., which at the time was not a big market because no one cares about baseball in L.A., and they sucked.
Yeah, they were bad.
Then he goes to Arizona, which is also not a big market, and when he went there, they sucked, and he sucked. But I think, he's 34 years old right now. He's going to be 35 next year. Like you said, and not every single year is a guarantee. You look at teams, You know, like Red Sox and Yankees the past few years, start of the season. Yeah, they'll contend to the playoffs, don't meet the playoffs.